So that's what the Access first login will look like, and now I'm going to show you what it looks like. Just so that you know, and you'll have this in your email, but the URL is not the whole word points. It's talkingpts.org. So talking points was taken, I guess, but it's talkingpts.org to get to that website. Kate, can you just confirm for me that it did go to the web page for y'all? Yay, okay. Sometimes it stays on the PowerPoint when I do that. So after you have set up your account, you'll log in. You won't see this because this is the school view, but I'll switch to teacher mode. When you log in, this is what you will see. So it's going to prompt you to send your first message because you have just made your account and gotten your class. Over here on the left-hand side is your main menu. So there's always a send a message button in the top left to do that really quickly. The home page is what we're on right now. You have messages, and that's sort of a record of all of the conversations that you're in. I have made a fake class with Jen, Kate, and Sheila, so I've been sending them messages as like test runs. But this sort of records all of those conversations, so you can get back to them quickly. And then you have your classes. So I'm going to click on from my class list on the left, just so that you can see what your actual list will look like. So you will have all of your students' name. It does tell you whether they are using SMS text messaging or if that student downloaded the app. We're not asking them to download the app. It doesn't affect, we don't think it adds anything to the experience, so we don't see the purpose of going through the steps of asking them to do it. But some of them have done that on their own, possibly because as parents, they're using it with their child's school. For the most part, people are going to be on the SMS texting. I'm going to switch over to my fake class, though, for example. So here's the ELAA team. When you're looking at this screen, there's a couple of different ways that you can send messages. If you want to send a message to everybody, I think the fastest way to do that is send an announcement up here. But you can also come into this checklist and check just one person to send a message to. Maybe these two were absent today, so I want to send them a little update and I'll send just the two of them. Or you can check everybody and send a message to everybody. One thing that we're doing to help make this a smoother learning curve and hopefully to take some of the anxiety out of it is we have scripted the first message. You're not required to use that script. We just think it makes things easier. And you will have that in your startup email to get you started. So I'm actually going to start there, show you where that is, and move it over to a first message for my class. So on Thursday, most likely on Thursday, you will get your startup email. It'll be from me, and it'll have a subject line like ELAA, important startup information. And it has everything you need to get started for the session and has some stuff that you'll probably keep coming back to during the session. So this is a good email to save or star or favorite. So it'll have stuff like your class schedule, your Zoom information, which is like your class link, your host key. It'll have some Zoom help for students, and it'll have this section, message for your students. And this is where we're going to put the script for the first message out. So this is something we'd like everyone to send out before the first day, so that students are kind of prepared for joining. And you'll see that in the middle of this script, I have this line, break for talking points word limit. These are text messages, so there is a character count. The reason Talking Points does that is because they don't want your message to cut off in the middle of a word for what the student receives, because that's something that can really scramble the translation if it doesn't get a whole word for the last word because of the character limit on text messages. So it automatically stops you before that will happen. So with this script, it is technically 2 messages for the Talking Points word limit. This is the exact same message I will send that I also recommend sending as an email to everybody. We don't know yet what the students' preferred communication method is. Everybody has at least a couple of new students if you're returning from summer. So before I have a chance to ask them in class, do you prefer text message or email? I'm going to always send to both. So I'll copy paste this into an email and send it out to everybody, and I'll copy paste this into a talking points message and send it out to everybody, just to kind of play it safe and make sure everybody sees it. So what I'm going to do is take this first half and right-click copy it and go back over to talking points. So I want to send my first message to my students. I'm going to use send an announcement so that it goes to everybody in my class. And in here, I'm going to right-click paste that message. So this is a script, so that means that some things aren't filled in already. When I make your actual startup email, I'm going to go through and do this. So the only thing you'll need to double check is that this is actually the name you want students to call you. But I'm going to fill in your script so you don't have to do all of these details. But hi, my name is Lizzie. I am your English teacher. The first day of class for me is Monday, the 28th, and class starts at 6 p.m. I need to put in my class URL, the link to my Zoom that is also in my email under Zoom information. So I'm going to right-click, copy that link, and paste that into. So my students are going to get this message, hi, my name is, use this URL to join class, and I'm letting them know I sent the same URL to your phone and to your email, because I don't know which device they're going to join class from. So that's the first half of my message. I'm at 235 of my 320 characters that I can do. You can kind of think of it like Twitter, and I'll go ahead and send that. So the first half has gone to students. I'm going to go back to my email and I'm going to grab part 2. So now if I go to my messages, the name of my class, I can see this record of what I have sent everybody. And I did this yesterday as well, so I have a few records. But here's my first message that went to all the phones and the second half. And if you look down here with my individual students, you can see that Kate replied to me. So I can look here and see that Kate sent thank you. I cannot wait to be there. And here's my little help buttons. If anything is weird about this message, you can see that Kate sent me it in French and it translated it to English for me. If I did not understand it, I could click this question mark to get some help. So one thing to point out from that, you saw that I sent that in a group message to everybody, but I'm getting their responses individually. So one thing that is different about talking points, if you have used group chats like WhatsApp or WeChat in the past, is that it's not a group conversation. Students will always see it like it is an individual text message to them, and they don't see each other's replies. So it is broken up in that way. While you're here writing messages, I know one thing that's important to teachers when we're doing homework or when we're prepping for class, you can add attachments the same way you would sending a text message or an email. So you can add files. It does have its own picture button. You can send images and videos. One more thing on the message window, and then I will start answering your questions and pointing things out. I'll use this button to open it. There is this thing here called View Templates, and we do have this button, which is Save as Template. So when I gave some background information on talking points, I mentioned that this was designed for K-12 schools. So they have these template messages for those K-12 teachers to use. Let's make life easier for our underpaid, overworked public school teachers. But these messages do not make sense for our context because they are about like students, like kids' homework. Please reply to tell me something about your child's, stuff like that. So these suggested messages, they're not ours. We can't add to them and they don't make sense. So I don't recommend going into those suggestions. But If there is a message that you send all the time, like if every time it's class day, an hour before class, you want to send a hello, reminder, class starts in 1 hour, you can save that as a template and it will go into your saved messages. So you can send that really quickly. Same thing if you always want to send out the class link every time. You can save it so you don't have to keep copy pasting it. So save messages are great. Suggested messages have nothing to do with us and will confuse your students. And then if at any point you need help, we will have this recording for you. We also added on the ELAA website under online teacher resources a link specifically to Talking Points help. They already have these super awesome, very short videos about specific functions. So there's like a 2-minute how to send a message, 2 minutes how to attach a file. So instead of making our own, we have linked to those because they're already great. Your startup email will have a lot of really good information in it, and then also you can contact me.